What's up, guys? My name's Droven. I'm a real person, not an AI. I'm going to be reading some Reddit stories today and playing some Minecraft. So I've low-key gotten roasted in the comments recently about my Minecraft skills, so I think I'm going to start saying at the beginning of all my videos that I'm learning to play Minecraft because, yeah, I'm hot cheeks at Minecraft. I know, and I try to cook stuff in the furnace with fence pieces. Like, I'm cooked, honestly. We have a goal now. I'm trying to beat the Ender Dragon, which I've done in a big group of people, and I barely helped, but I've never actually done alone. In this video, I'm trying to get geared up to go to the Nether. Now I know, if you saw last video, that you can't use a water bucket in the Nether because nothing happens and you just stay burning and then you die. And I'm going to do all of this while reading Reddit stories to you guys, so thanks for coming along for the journey. The first story is called The Locked Basement Door. I grew up in a house where my parents told me never to go into the basement. They said the door was jammed shut and unsafe. That's not a good reason. Last week, while cleaning, I noticed the lock was new. Curiosity got the better of me. I picked the lock and creaked it open. There was a single light bulb swinging and dozens of Polaroid pictures taped to the walls. Yeah, you might want to just leave the country. Every single one was of me, taken while I was sleeping, from different ages of my life. Some recent. The worst part, one was from last week. That's a tough one. Yeah. My first thought is this person might be like a kidnap victim or something like that. Yeah, go to the police. Burn the house down. No, but hold on. How was the light bulb swinging? Like what's making it swing? Like even a strong draft isn't going to make the light bulb swing. That joint's haunted. Anyways, I think we're off to a good start. Here's the next story. Story number 2, Neighbor's Strange Request. 2 weeks ago, my neighbor, an older man who mostly kept to himself, knocked on my door at 3 a.m. His hands were shaking. He'd asked if I'd seen his daughter. I was caught off guard because, to my knowledge, he lived alone. I told him no. He grew frantic, insisting she'd been, quote-unquote, playing in my yard. I closed the door uneasy, chalking it up to dementia or a nightmare. The next morning, I remembered my security cameras had been running. I checked the footage. At 2:50 a.m., a little girl in a white dress stood in my yard, just staring up at my window. At 2:55, she vanished, but in her place was a tall, thin figure crouching low to the ground, exactly where she'd been. The figure tilted its head upward, as if looking straight into the camera. Then the feed cut to static. I considered calling the police, but what would I say? That a ghost or monster was in my yard? Instead, I deleted the footage. I told myself I'd imagined it, but every night since then, I've caught glimpses out of the corner of my eye. A pale face pressed against the window glass, watching. Okay, I don't know about you guys, but I'm sure this is the opposite of the reaction I would have. I'm just gonna, okay, I'll delete the footage. I probably dreamt it. Like, no, no, I'm good. I'm like gonna post up outside my house and no, I'm not gonna post up outside my house and wait for it to happen again. I'm calling the police. They probably won't do anything. So yeah, I'm just moving, changing my name, all of the above. So crazy. I'm just gonna delete the footage. It probably didn't happen. Workplace secret. I work IT for a mid-sized company. Most of my job is resetting passwords and fixing printers. Yesterday, I got an alert about unauthorized access. When I traced it, it led me to a hidden folder on the CEO's computer. The folder was titled Exit Plan. Inside were hundreds of files, fake passports, Swiss bank transfers, and detailed instructions on how to drain every employee retirement account. One document literally outlined the day he'd disappear. I debated for hours before anonymously sending everything to HR. This morning, the CEO stepped into the elevator with me. He didn't press a button, just stood there, smiling. Finally, he leaned close and whispered, "I know who you are." The elevator doors open, and he walked out casually. My hands are still shaking as I type this. The first thing you do is go, and it's like, I gotta put this on Reddit. No. No, now your CEO has it out for you. He's probably in the process of hiring a hitman to come end you. Okay, next story. This one's called The Wrong Baby Picture. Last month, my mom gave me an old family photo album. I flipped through baby pictures of myself. Me in a crib, me on my first birthday, me learning how to walk, normal stuff. Then I noticed a photo that wasn't me. The baby had green eyes. I have brown. The baby had a birthmark on her arm that I've never had. On the back, in my mom's handwriting, it said, "Our firstborn, 1994. But I was born in 1996, and I'm the eldest child. I asked my parents about it at dinner. My dad froze. My mom's face went pale. After a long silence, she whispered, "We don't talk about her." I laughed nervously, thinking maybe I had a sister who died young. But when I pressed, my mom shook her head. "No," she said, voice trembling. "She's not dead. She's gone." "Gone where?" I asked. Neither answered. My dad slammed his hand on the table so hard the dishes rattled. "That's enough," he said. That night, I went back to the album. The photo was gone. See, where's the part 2 on this? You can't just leave us hanging right here. Also, is it a crime to leave the tops of trees floating like this? I don't know. I had a friend tell me a long time ago that I would be damned for having the trees just kind of, no trunk, just chilling like that. I don't know. Is it forbidden? Let me know. Next one is titled Late Night Uber Ride. I drive Uber part-time to make ends meet. A week ago, I picked up a man in a black hoodie around midnight. Okay, did he just rob a store? He didn't say a word when he got in, just pointed forward. Halfway through, he leaned up and said, "Turn here." The GPS didn't show a road, but I followed his instructions into a dark alley. This is natural selection at this point. You're just asking for it. The hairs on my neck stood up. I stopped the car and asked if this was right. He leaned close to my ear and whispered, "Don't worry, you'll be fine. Tonight's not your night." Then he got out and disappeared into the shadows. I drove off shaking. 2 days later, I read on the news, an Uber driver had been found strangled in that same alley. Okay, what made you different? Why didn't you get strangled? Why'd you live to tell the tale? He's just no, I don't want to strangle this person. I'll strangle the next person. What? This one's titled The Forgotten Password. I logged into an old email account I hadn't touched in years. To my surprise, there was a single unread message. The sender was me, same address. The subject, "Don't forget again." The body, "The door unlocks at 2:17 a.m. You only get one chance." Not gonna lie, that one just gave me chills a little bit. The timestamp, sent yesterday. I assumed it was some weird glitch or spam, but curiosity gnawed at me. That night, I set an alarm. At 2:17, I crept downstairs. To my shock, the front door, always locked and deadbolted, was ajar. Just a sliver. I froze, hand on the knob. That's when I heard someone whisper, from outside, "Let me in." Or just shut the door. Grab the closest weapon, maybe? Call the police. Another good option. Maybe don't let them in. Next one's called the Office Lottery Pool. At my old job, 10 of us had a weekly lottery pool. We all pitched in except one guy. Let's call him Steve. He always said it was a waste of money. Then one Friday, the unthinkable happened. Our numbers hit. 20 million split 10 ways, or so we thought. That's insane. Monday morning, Steve walks in with a grin and a story. He'd bought his own ticket, using the same numbers the night before. He was claiming the entire jackpot for himself. What a dick. Screw Steve. We don't like Steve. The office exploded. HR tried to mediate, but legally, there was nothing to be done. Steve quit the next day, leaving the rest of us furious and empty-handed. The kicker, a month later, Steve's mugshot appeared in the paper. He'd been robbed and beaten outside a casino, nearly killed. He'd already lost almost everything he won. All right, that's karma right there. You can always count on karma coming back to bite you. That's such a bad thing to do. But sounds like he got what was coming to him. The online date. I met a girl on a dating app. We hit it off fast, late night texts, inside jokes, even talked about meeting each other's families someday. After 2 months, we agreed to meet at a cafe. I got there early, ordered coffee, and waited. She walked in, smiled, and sat down. We chatted like old friends. Then her smile faltered. "You're not him," she said. I laughed nervously, thinking she was joking. but she pulled out her phone and showed me our chat. Same username, same photos, but the messages weren't the ones I'd sent. Someone had been pretending to be me. Her face went pale. If you're not the one I've been talking to, who is? We compared notes. Whoever catfished her knew enough about me to copy my style, my photos, even my work details. The realization made my stomach drop. Someone close to me must have been behind it. She left, hurt and angry. I sat there stunned. Later that night, I got a message from the fake account. You ruined it. Now I have to start over. The profile disappeared in minutes. I don't understand why people catfish. Like, I get it. Like, if you've got some self-esteem issues, I mean, it doesn't make it the right thing to do, but this is kind of next level. This person's creepy as hell. Next one is time I fucked up at a job interview. I had a job interview at a big tech company. Nerves got the best of me, and before leaving home, I chugged a calming herbal tea my mom swore by. Turns out, it was a laxative. Ooh, yikes. Halfway through the interview, my stomach growled like a dying animal. I tried to power through coding questions, sweating bullets, but by the time the manager asked, "Tell me about a time you overcame adversity," I lost the battle. I bolted for the restroom, but not fast enough. The look on their faces when I came back, I knew I was done. Weeks later, I saw the job posting again online. Same position, same manager. And I swear, in the job description under qualifications, someone had added, strong stomach under pressure. That is tough. Dang. Next up, I was on vacation in Italy, walking through a random piazza, when I locked eyes with a man who looked exactly like my dad, who died 5 years ago. Same posture, same half smile, even the mole on his cheek. I followed him, heart pounding. He ducked into a cafe, ordered an espresso, and sat outside. I snapped a photo from across the street. My hands shook as I texted it to my mom. Her reply, "That's not possible. Your father had a twin. We never told you." Apparently, they were estranged for decades. My uncle didn't attend the funeral, didn't want contact. My mom had buried the secret. By the time I turned back, the man was gone. Crazy story. I would have walked up without even texting my mom and been like, "Hey, you look like my dad. What's up with that?" That sounds pretty dumb. Next up, the wedding toast. My cousin's wedding was supposed to be picture perfect. Everyone gathered in a fancy hall, glasses clinking, music swelling. Then came the best man's toast. He stood up, smiled, and said, "You know, weddings are about honesty, so I need to get something off my chest." The room went dead quiet. He continued, "I've been sleeping with the bride for the past 6 months. Oh my gosh." People gasped. My aunt fainted. My cousin, the groom, sat frozen, jaw clenched, face pale. The bride screamed at the best man, calling him a liar. But then he pulled out his phone and scrolled through text after text, photo after photo, proof. The reception imploded. Families screaming, tables flipping, the DJ quietly slipping out with his equipment. That'd be me. And me, I sat there sipping champagne, wondering if this was the most entertaining or horrifying thing I'd ever witnessed. They never made it to the honeymoon. Yeah, no shit, they didn't make it to the honeymoon. That's insane. I don't understand people. Next up is the wrong house party. Back in college, my friends and I tried to crash a party. We saw music and lights blasting from a big house, so we barged in with beers and confidence. Except no one inside was dancing. Everyone was in black suits, somber, holding candles. We had crashed a wake. Oh my gosh, that's such a crazy situation. I'll never forget the look on my buddy's face when he shouted, "Where's the keg?" and a woman burst into tears. We bolted. Years later, one of my friends actually married into that same family. They still bring it up at every holiday. That is absolutely insane, dude. Oh my gosh. The silent hotel room. I was staying at a cheap motel for work. The walls were paper thin, and I could hear the guy next door pacing, coughing, dropping things. Annoying, but bearable. Then silence. Complete silence. After 2 hours, curiosity got the better of me. I knocked on his door. No answer. I called the front desk, and they sent someone to check. The employee opened the door. turned pale, and immediately called the manager. The room was completely empty. No suitcase, no bed, no furniture, just bare concrete and a single light bulb dangling. But when I pressed my ear to the wall that night, I still heard the pacing. Why would you stay after that? Like this sounds like, when people die first in the horror movies, which I've said that before. But like, seriously, oh yeah, this insanely creepy thing happened. Let me just stay exactly where it happened. Like, what? This one's titled Lost in a Blizzard, so I can only imagine. This one's titled Lost in a Blizzard, so I can only imagine. 2 winters ago, I took what was supposed to be a short hike before a storm rolled in. By the time I realized how fast the snow was falling, the trail markers were buried. My phone had no signal, and the sun dropped behind the trees. I wrapped myself in a tarp I'd packed, huddled by a fallen log, and told myself I'd last until morning. The temperature dropped below 0. Every breath hurt. But like, why even go out? Like before a storm, like right before a storm? Anyways, around midnight, I heard someone calling my name, my full name. I shot up, convinced it was rescuers, but the voice didn't come from the trail. It came from deep in the woods. I wanted to run toward it, but my instincts screamed no. I stayed put, shivering. Rescuers found me the next afternoon, half frozen. When I asked if they'd called my name in the night, they shook their heads. Nobody had been close enough. Yeah, you were probably, hypothermic, imagining things. But still, that's creepy as hell. This one's called the safe deposit box. My grandfather left a safe deposit box. The bank clerk handed me a dusty key, said it hadn't been opened in 40 years. Inside was a single envelope with 10 Polaroids of people I didn't recognize. Each one had a date scrawled in red ink on the back. I googled the names on the folder tabs. Every one of them had gone missing on the written date. And the last photo, it was of me. Tomorrow's date on the back. Yeah, you're cooked, buddy. Also, I have no clue how I have a dog in Minecraft right now. Like, I remember earlier in this series, like, I had a dog for maybe like 10 minutes and that dog was killed. But yeah, apparently I got a dog at some point, and yeah, so that's cool. We have a dog now. Next up, I found a $20 bill on the sidewalk outside my office. Okay, W. Felt like a lucky day. At lunch, I used it to pay for a sandwich. The cashier froze. Where did you get this? Turns out the bill was part of evidence from a robbery years ago, marked traceable. Within an hour, I had 2 detectives in my office asking questions I couldn't answer. Now I can't stop wondering, was it really luck, or did someone want me to find that dollar? That's, I don't even know what to say about this one. How would the cashier know what was up with the $20 bill? Unless they were like a private or like an investigator or something like that. I don't know, this is a weird story. The email that wasn't. It's labeled Workplace Chaos. I work in finance. Yesterday morning, I got an email from my boss with the subject, Urgent, Move Funds. It's instructed me to wire $1.2 million to an overseas account. It was worded exactly like his usual tone. Short, to the point, even signed with his initials. I started the transfer process. 5 minutes before I hit send, my phone rang. It was my boss. He said, "Don't touch anything. That email isn't from me." We traced it back. Someone had cloned his email perfectly. IT said it was the most sophisticated phishing attempt they'd ever seen. If he hadn't called, I'd have wired over $1 million straight into a criminal's hands. I barely slept last night. I keep replaying it in my head. How close I came to destroying the company with 1 click. Yeah, I would if I just got a random email to urgently move funds, if I worked in finance, I would call the boss right then and there and be like, "Did you really send this? Are you sure this was you?" I feel like that's something you verify. Here's one from time I fucked up. Time I fucked up at the doctor's office. I went to the doctor for stomach pain. While waiting in the exam room, I got bored and started poking around the drawers. Found a reflex hammer and thought it'd be funny to test it on myself. Except I swung too hard, hit my knee, and reflex kicked the rolling stool across the room. It slammed into a shelf, knocked down a box of specimen jars, and they shattered everywhere. When the doctor walked in, he just stared at the mess. then at me holding the hammer. I panicked. I panicked and blurted out, self-exam. He didn't laugh. Oh, that's amazing. That's like, you should, I mean, I get it. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. I've done this exact same thing, minus the whole kicking a chair across the room. I feel like it's normal. Just kind of poke around in there, see what's going on. But you shouldn't touch things that don't belong to you, because you can end up in an awkward situation like this one. This one's titled The Family Recipe. My grandma guarded her spaghetti sauce recipe like it was gold. She'd swat our hands if we even peeked while she cooked. When she passed, she left an envelope behind labeled Secret Family Recipe to me, the eldest grandchild. At the funeral, everyone gathered around as I opened it. Inside was a single sheet of paper, written in her neat cursive. Store-bought ragu, add sugar. That's insane. We all stared, stunned. My uncle finally burst out laughing. Then we all did. Generations of secrecy, pride, and bragging for jarred pasta sauce. Honestly, still the best sauce I've ever had. You know, I might have to try that. It's ragu and just add some sugar to it. Oh, this should be good. It's called The Man at My Window. A few nights ago, I was working late on my laptop when I caught movement outside my window. I live on the second floor, so that didn't make any sense. I looked closer. A man was crouched on the balcony, staring at me through the glass. Excuse me? I froze. He just smiled, then crawled away into the dark. I called the police, they searched, but found no one. No footprints, nothing. The next morning, taped to my window was a Polaroid of me asleep in bed. I mean, I don't know. That's, alright, hear me out. Could have been like a drug addict, could have been a crackhead, but I feel like they would have definitely like stole something. So either like a dark demonic entity, or maybe just a crackhead. Who knows? Next up, the casino streak. On a trip to Vegas, I sat at a blackjack table and couldn't lose. Heck yeah. Hand after hand, I won. People gathered around. The dealer looked rattled. After 2 hours, I was up $60K. Oh my gosh. A man in a suit tapped my shoulder and asked me to cash out now. When I hesitated, he leaned close and whispered, "It's not your luck, it's theirs." Then he nodded toward two men at the other table, both watching me intently. I walked away, cashed out, and left. To this day, I don't know if I was a part of a scam or just really lucky. Sounds like you were a part of a scam. I don't know how, my brain can't put together how that scam works, but yeah, I mean, if you're just winning and winning and winning, you end up being up 60K. Just, yeah, take your winnings and run. Don't even worry about it. This one's called The Reunion. 10 years ago, I cut off my dad. He was toxic, manipulative, and every interaction left me drained. I swore I'd never see him again. Last month, my sister begged me to attend his 70th birthday. I resisted, but eventually gave in. When I walked into the hall, he spotted me immediately. His face crumpled. He shuffled over, slower than I remembered, and just whispered, "Thank you." We barely spoke all night, but when he blew out his candles, he hugged me tight and said, "Now I can go in peace." 2 days later, he passed in his sleep. I still don't know if I forgave him, but I'm glad I was there. I mean, that's a little sad. It's wholesome, but no matter who someone is, no matter how they're related to you, if they're a toxic human being, you should not keep them in your life. Yeah. Here we've got a short, scary story. The Babysitter's Call. I used to babysit for a couple who always said the same thing before leaving. Don't answer the phone unless we call. One night around 9:30, the landline rang. Caller ID said upstairs line, but there wasn't a phone upstairs. I froze, let it ring, then checked on the kids. Both asleep. I told myself it was a glitch. When the parents came home, I mentioned it. Their faces drained of color. The dad said quietly, "We disconnected that line years ago." So yeah, here's actually what's happening. You have a ghost, or you're being pranked. Yeah. Also, I'm not going to the nether yet. I was thinking about it, but not quite yet. I think just need some enchants. some better armor. Yeah, I need to get the enchantment that makes it so I don't catch on fire, or not as much. I don't even know what it's called. This one's called Grandma's Parrot. My grandma had a parrot that mimicked everything. After she passed, the family gathered in her house to clean up. As we boxed things up, the parrot suddenly squawked, "Don't touch that drawer." Why did I say it like that? We all froze, then it cackled, "I'll haunt you." Turns out Grandma had spent years teaching the bird creepy phrases just to mess with us after she died. Classic her. We ended up keeping the parrot as a family mascot. Or, hear me out, her soul took over the parrot and she will actually haunt you. Yeah, keep that parrot locked up at night. Couldn't be me. Next one is the elevator test. Reminds me of the fitness gram pacer test. At my first corporate job, I was told about something called the elevator test. Supposedly, the CEO would ride with random employees and quiz them. If you impressed him, you were promoted fast. If not, well, people quietly disappeared. I thought it was an urban legend until one morning I got in an elevator and there he was. He asked, "What's the company's greatest weakness?" My mind blanked, then blurted out, "Your communication skills." Oh my gosh. That takes some serious not giving a shit. Like to say that to your boss. "What's bad about our company?" "Your communication skills are ass." Like what? He stared at me, the doors open, he walked out without a word. I was certain I'd be fired. Instead, a week later, I got promoted. Okay. Looks like the boss wanted to promote somebody who wasn't scared to say things other people were. That's cool. Oh, I can only imagine what this next one's about. It's labeled The Wrong Funeral. My GPS screwed up, and I ended up at the wrong funeral home. I didn't realize until I was already seated. The family kept looking at me like, "Who's this guy?" But I felt too awkward to leave. When they asked if anyone wanted to share memories, I panicked and went up. Why on God's green earth would you do that? I improvised a story about how kind George had been, even though I'd never met him. People cried. A woman hugged me afterwards saying, "You knew him better than anyone." I still think about George sometimes. I mean, great improv for figuring that out. But why would you go up? Like, do you just not care? Are you just a menace to society like that? Good for you. This one's about a train ride. I was on a late night train, half asleep, when a man sat across from me. He leaned in and said, "You should get off at the next stop." I asked why. He just smiled. "Because if you don't, you won't get another chance." Done. I am off that train. No questions asked. I'm gone. That was me, not the story. Chills ran through me. When the train slowed, I panicked, grabbed my bag, and got off. As I stood on the platform, the train screeched away. Minutes later, we heard sirens. News broke that a derailment had occurred just 2 stops down the line. I never saw that man again. You know, some people are just being watched over by the heavens above. Yeah, if somebody gives you some really weird advice, might not be a bad idea to take it, because this person could have just been like, "No, I'm not getting off. That's not my stop. What are you talking about? Train derailed, dead." Anyways, moving on. We got another creepy one. It's called the Midnight Jogger. I jog every night on the same trail. One evening, I noticed another runner ahead. Same pace, same clothes, same build as me. Curious, I sped up to pass. Listen, you guys might judge me, but I would turn around. Like, that would be the end of the story. It would be curious, not curious. I turned around and went home and survived. When I got close, he turned his head. It was my face. See, like, what? He smirked, whispered something I couldn't hear, then sprinted into the woods. I searched. Nothing. Why would you search? What's the point in that? That's just natural selection at this point. The next day, my reflection in the bathroom mirror smiled half a second later than I did. Listen, I know this story's not true, like it's not real, but still, like, I feel like it's kind of dumb. Like, any person with a brain that functions is going to be, first off, they're not, if they see a runner looks like them or anything like them, turning around, running away, forgetting it happened or trying to. And then, yeah, you looked in the bathroom mirror and you smiled half a second later. No, you're getting haunted. This is that grandma, the one that taught the parrot stuff. Crazy. This one should be good. Time I fucked up at jury duty. During jury duty selection, the judge asked if anyone had biases that would prevent them from being fair. I nervously said, I just don't trust anyone in suits. The judge slowly turned to look at me. He was in a suit. The prosecutor, defense attorney, and every clerk were too. They dismissed me instantly. My name must be on some courthouse idiot list forever. But nobody wants to go to jury duty, so this is kind of a win. Unless you have a thing for jury duty and you wanted to be there. But yeah, no, I mean, I think this was a smart play. It got you out of having to sit in a courtroom for who knows how long. This one's titled The Abandoned Phone. It's another mystery one. On my commute, I spotted a phone ringing on a bench. Against better judgment, I answered. A frantic voice yelled, "Run, they know where you are." Before I could respond, a black SUV screeched to a halt nearby. 2 men jumped out, scanning the area. I dropped the phone and bolted. To this day, I wondered, did I stumble into someone's escape plan, or was that warning for me? I feel like that warning was for you, but I feel like at the same time, they would have found you, and if the warning was for you, they knew who you were and they would have just came to your house. So maybe you did stumble into a bad situation, but good thing you got out. Also, I'm trying to get leather for books so I can make bookshelves so my enchants are better. And I just made that poor cow fall 20 stories. That's tough. This one might be wholesome. Grandma's necklace. When my grandma died, she left me her necklace. Nothing fancy, just a silver locket. A week later, I opened it and found a folded piece of paper inside. Written in her handwriting, "Forgive him." I instantly knew she meant my father, who I hadn't spoken to in years. I called him that night. He broke down crying, saying he'd been waiting for me. That necklace saved our relationship. Okay, wholesome. Thanks, Grandma. This one is about the apartment above me. I live on the top floor of a 3-story building. For weeks, I heard footsteps above me, dragging, pacing, heavy thuds. Okay, not creepy yet. Maybe there's just somebody hanging out on the roof. I finally complained to management. They looked confused. There's no apartment above you. Roof's up there. I invited them in one night to hear it for themselves. Right on cue, the pounding started. Their faces went pale. The next morning, the ceiling above my bed had fresh cracks, shaped like footprints. Yeah, there's just somebody maybe rooftop dancing on top of your apartment for whatever reason. Either that or it's haunted. Who knows? This one's called The Lottery Curse. My coworker won $12 million in the lottery. He quit on the spot, shouting, "I'm free." 2 weeks later, his wife left him. His brother sued for emotional damages. Long-lost relatives appeared, begging for money. Last I heard, he was bankrupt, living in a trailer. He once told me, "Winning ruined me. I was happier broke." This is why, if you hit the lotto, you don't tell anybody. Nobody. You just keep going on and enjoy your money and not deal with all those bad parts of money. Next one's called The Inside Job That Wasn't Actually an Inside Job. That's confusing. I'm a bank teller, which sounds boring until you realize every stranger who steps to your window could ruin your week. The Friday before Memorial Day, a man in a baseball cap slid me a deposit slip with no account number. On the back, he'd written, "Smile, transfer $180,000 to account blank, blank, blank. If you hesitate, Ryan in the corner dies first." I don't have a coworker named Ryan. Okay, then shit, let him shoot Ryan. No, never mind. That's horrible. I shouldn't say that. I glanced up anyway. In the lobby, a dad in a polo was fussing with the toddler's shoelaces. A woman in a red blazer was on her phone pacing. In the far corner, a young guy in a gray hoodie stared me over the rim of a paper cup. The man in the cap tilted his head almost playfully, then flicked his eyes toward gray hoodie. Message received. We're trained to keep people calm, buy time, trigger silent alarms. My thumb slid beneath the counter to the button. The cap guy tapped the glass, a rhythm like a metronome. 3, pause, 3. While his other hand stayed in his jacket. He didn't show a weapon, which made it worse. Pretend the gun is there. Move like you're in molasses. Sir, I said, for transfers over 50,000, we need dual authorization. That part was true. I just need to bring my manager over. Not true. I could start it myself. Cap's mouth twitched. He pushed a phone across the counter, screen blazing with a notes app. He's wearing a gray hoodie. If he moves, you'll make him nervous. Keep your manager out of this. I looked at the clock, 4:03 p.m. Fridays, our branch manager holds a 5-minute clean desk huddle at 4:05. If I could stall 2 minutes, he'd walk out anyway. I typed slowly. We'll need receiving bank details. He slid a second note with the routing number and the account number. Name, Inland Sporting Goods. Inland looked familiar. My uncle owns a bait shop called Inland Tackle on Route 9. I'd helped him open the account 2 summers ago, but the number was off by a digit, too close for coincidence. Gray hoodie took a sip, eyes on the floor. The dad with the toddler lifted the kid and pointed at our lollipop jar. I smiled at the toddler, handed him a grape sucker, and with that motion, hit the silent alarm. The teller to my left, Priya, shot me a quick glance. I gave her the tiniest nod. In the reflection of the security glass, I watched Cap's jaw tense. I keyed in the transfer request, but left one field blank, receiving bank. Entering that field auto pings our fraud system and triggers a manual review if it's not on our trusted beneficiaries list. Inland wasn't. Priya cleared her throat, a practice signal. I heard the soft hiss as our door locks engaged. Our branch goes into a visitor hold when the alarm pings downtown. Cap noticed the latch clunk and leaned in, breath fogging the glass. He whispered so low I barely heard it. Don't be a hero. My hands shook. I filled the swift field by a single letter and paused. Behind him, Gray Hoodie stepped toward the exit and bumped into it when it didn't open. He gave a small, surprised laugh and turned, eyes finding mine through the bulletproof pane. He raised his cup like a toast, mouthed something I couldn't read, and set the cup on the trash can. Then he sat back down. A red laser dot tracked across the ceiling and blinked out. Our upstairs security camera has a known glitch. I tried to breathe. The manager's door opened right on schedule. He emerged with his clipboard, saw the locked doors, and smoothly pivoted to stand near the vault. Our protocol. Cap saw him and, for the first time, looked unsure. I clicked the last field. The system churned and flashed manual review required. Hold. The transfer was queued but frozen. If Cap bolted now, nothing would move. He didn't bolt. He slid another note. You're good. Don't move. 10, 9. Oh, he wasn't counting down to shoot. He was counting down to call. On the trash can, Gray Hoodie's cup started vibrating. I looked from Cap to the cup. The dad with the toddler was now at the door, tugging it, frowning at the lock. Priya coughed twice. Manager shifted his stance. 8, 7. Cap's phone buzzed. He didn't answer it. He stared at me, daring me to blink. I didn't. The call in the cup stopped, then rang again, longer this time, urgent, like a fire alarm in miniature. 4, 3. The police arrived not with sirens, but as quiet shadows. 2 officers slipping through our side service entrance the armored truck uses. They flanked the lobby, hands low but ready. The dad froze, arms tightening around the kid. Red Blazer put her phone down. Gray Hoodie lifted his empty hands. Sir, the manager said evenly, let's all relax. Doors will open in a moment. His voice had that weird calm that sounds like cotton. Cap finally looked away from me. In that instant, Gray Hoodie reached for the vibrating cup. The officers moved. One pinned Hoodie, the other grabbed Cap's wrist as he finally fished out the thing in his jacket. Not a gun, a trigger, a dead man's switch like in movies, wired to the phone. If he'd let it go, would something have detonated, or was the threat the phone itself? Bomb squad came, and we learned the answer. Not explosives, malware. The phone had been set to auto-call a number that, if answered, would spoof an approved transaction call from our corporate fraud desk. We're trained to expect those calls. The plan was elegant. Force a teller to create the transfer and then validate it with a voice we'd trust. Gray Hoodie's cup was the relay point. Any teller who grabbed the nearest ringing phone might have fallen for it. The account, Inland Sporting Goods, was a shell that scraped one digit from my uncle's real business. Cap had watched my window for weeks, learning how I moved, what tricks we leaned on. The only thing he couldn't predict was the 4:05 huddle and the toddler's demand for a grape lollipop that put my thumb on the alarm at the exact right time. We reopened at 4:47 p.m., rattled but intact. I comped the toddler a second lollipop. His dad mouthed, "Thank you," like I'd just donated a kidney. My manager patted my shoulder and said, "You didn't freeze." I did, though. The whole time I'd been thinking about Ryan, who doesn't exist, and the men who did. One with a cap, one with a cup, both betting I'd blink. I didn't blink. I still haven't. Not when someone in a gray hoodie steps in line. Not when a phone starts ringing from the wrong place, and not when I count to 3 in my head and remind myself, sometimes being boring is the bravest thing you can do. Next one's called the locked classroom. I teach high school English, and our building is old. Creaky floors, flickering lights, that kind of vibe. Last spring, my principal asked me to use room 214 for after-school tutoring since the library was under renovation. Here's the thing, we don't have a room 214. The numbering goes from 212 to 216. I thought it was a typo, but when I double-checked the floor plan, there it was, room 214, wedged between classrooms that supposedly share a wall. Curiosity got me. After dismissal, I walked the hall counting doors. Sure enough, there was a door I'd never noticed before. It looked newer than the others, painted the same color as the wall to blend in. The knob had no lock, just a keyhole, like something from 50 years ago. I went to the office and asked the secretary. She frowned. 214? That's not on my roster. She pulled out an old binder of room assignments. Every year, 214 was listed, but always blank. No teacher assigned, no students scheduled. The next day, I borrowed the custodian's master key. When I tried it, the door clicked open. The room inside was small and smelled faintly of mildew. Desks in neat rows face a chalkboard covered in faded writing. Lesson notes, reminders, even a homework assignment. The chalk was still on the tray. A jacket hung over one chair like someone had just stepped out. The weirdest part, a calendar on the wall. May 1987. All the dates crossed out except one. The next morning, I went back with the custodian. The door wouldn't open. His key no longer fit the lock, and when I checked the floor plan again, room 214 was gone. Yeah, that's incredibly creepy. Well, that's all the Minecraft and Reddit stories I have for you today. If you enjoyed, drop a like, hit subscribe. If you didn't, I don't know what to tell you. Maybe go watch a Baby Jamie video. Thanks for watching. Peace.